Welcome to Hamim Royale. This is Eric Grissom.
And I'm Dan Johnson. Eric and I will be rewatching the iconic Twin Peaks from the pilot through the return and everything in between.
If this is your first time watching, or if you're a longtime fan, you can watch along with us as we dive deep into the strange and wonderful world of Twin Peaks.
We live inside a dream.
Today on Meanwhile, we have reached the end of our second section. That it's Twin Peaks: The Return, the patented Twin Peaks: The Return. Do it in 3. Climb up a tree. It's Dan and Eric talking about part 12. That's what I came up with.
That's what you did.
A lot of this stuff is improv, fellas and ladies. Yep, it just comes out.
No,
this is part 12. This is Let's Rock. Dan, how are you making out in the? What's your take on the return up until part 12, and how does it compare with your first watch?
I said this before on one of our previous episodes, earlier in our Watch the Return, maybe episode 2 or 3 or something. I said, wow, I love this. It's incredible. I'm so frustrated by it because I feel like I'm missing so much. And you gave me very good advice to stop looking for answers and just let it kind of be. You didn't say this exactly, but just experience it. Just let it happen. And I've let go. And it's been such a great experience.
That's good to hear.
These conversations are great because I end up finding more things and that, hey, there's this connection. And, it's so good that you've seen it this number of times and you know what to look for. You can give me subtle hints that only make sense 3 episodes later. And like, oh, so it's really good. I'm not going to lie. I'm still anxious for Cooper to come back. But this time around, I love Dougie. So it's not as though the first time around, it's like, fine, Dougie, whatever, just give me Cooper. Now it's like, no, this is cool.
When you're watching for the first time, you don't know what's coming.
Right.
So it's all anticipation. Now we know what's coming. We go right back to it. I love the Dougie stuff.
Yeah, it's great this time around. Man, just loving being with these characters. And I've said this before too. Going from watching the original 2 seasons, the books, everything into this just keeps everything fresh. So now I'm seeing these characters and having seen them evolve over 20-something years, all in the span of a few weeks of this is excellent too. So what a fun episode this one is too, huh? There's some interesting stuff in here.
It's a good one. Let's Rock is a good one.
Yep.
Speaking of good ones, one of our Black Lodge members, Evan Fitz, he posted on our Patreon that when we did our Part 9 review, and I remember, if you remember, Bushnell is kind of like getting his hands forming into a fist.
Yes.
He's facing the three police officers, the 3 brothers.
The Fuscos.
The Fusco brothers, yes. I had said, like, he's trying, they're not doing enough for Dougie, so he's kind of defending him. He pointed out that it reminded him, and I'll read his quote here because I have it ready. He wrote, when Bushnell was clenching his fists as he was dealing with the cops, kind of reminded me of Lil from Fire Walk With Me. She did that to signal that the local cops would be belligerent.
Oh.
Now, the Fusco brothers aren't belligerent in that context, but it is neat because that was one of Lil's little things. She had one hand in her pocket, meant they're hiding something, and she had another hand forming a fist, which would mean the cops were belligerent.
That's a great call.
We're getting a lot of comments. We're getting a lot of comments on Spotify. More so lately. The last couple of weeks have been a bit of a roller coaster. I feel like we almost need a community manager because I can't track them all. I know I'm missing some of you. So keep the comments coming. I try to write. You'll see. I'm constantly writing on each of these things, but it's now across like YouTube and Spotify and Instagram. So it's just like trying to make sure you cover all the bases. And speaking of covering bases, this episode came out on July 30th, 2017. And that has nothing to do with covering bases, but that's when it came out on Showtime. So let's rock. I don't know. I don't have anything else to talk about. I'm ready to get into this.
With this title, I did expect that we'd see the evolution of the arm. But it was not. It was a little I wonder how to connect these, but we'll find out. Let's talk.
Well, tell me about it when we get there, Dan, because let's go into it. Let's drive our car right into the heart of the sun.
My father got me this old Schwinn, secondhand. He painted it green, got a new seat for it. Two-tone green, kind of a lime green and a deep forest green. Fat tires. Oh, it was so hard to ride, but I love that bike. I love that bike.
In the Mayfair Hotel Lounge, Tammy is inducted into the Blue Rose, and Diane is made a temporary deputy.
We get Gordon, Albert, and Tammy sitting in a very cozy little nook in the Mayfair Hotel Lounge.
It's beautiful.
Leather chairs. We got the whole wine setup. Albert's statement that he's so glad that Gordon travels with his own wine cellar was a good one. Got a couple
Yeah,
bottles.
He stocks the plane with his own wine. That's
his good ones there. Real nice. This time we get the same Albert telling Gordon turn up his hearing aids so they can have a quiet conversation. But this time, rule of threes, Gordon's like,
please speak succinctly and do not make any loud, sharp noises.
He's at least aware this keeps happening again because we pointed out that this is a running joke. But this time, he cut it all off.
Yeah. Please speak succinctly and do not make any loud, sharp noises. I like the use of the word sharp.
Same. That's the one that stuck out to me. But then, so we get Albert delivering this. Interesting to me that Albert is the one to give Tammy all the backstory instead of Cole. But he does. And for our friends that have read along with us and read the secret history of Twin Peaks, we get a lot of that kind of background here as well. So Albert's telling us about the 1970s, the Air Force shut down Project Blue Book, and then they kept it going.
A few years later, the military and FBI formed a top-secret task force to explore the troubling abstractions raised by cases Blue Book failed to resolve. We called it the Blue Rose after a phrase uttered by a woman in one of these cases just before she died, which suggested these answers could not be reached except by an alternate path we've been traveling ever since.
Did we know?
No, but we get more of that in the return.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll come. We'll hear more about this case at least one other time.
Cool. I have a bunch of questions, and I think a lot of it's going to be like, you'll find out later. So cool. Looking forward to that. I'm going to note that down, jot it down in my notebook. And we get the explicit telling of how Blue Rose was staffed. So Gordon set it up with Philip Jeffries as the head of the squad. I like that he calls it a squad. And then it recruited three others, Albert, Dale Cooper, and Chet Desmond. So obviously we know that Chet knew about Blue Rose because he's the one who was talking to Sam about it and couldn't tell him everything. But knowing it was just those four fellas with Cole in the squad.
Right. We also get a definitive confirmation that Chet is missing and has been missing since Fire Walk With Me.
But where did he go? And where is Chester Desmond?
We saw him with the ring. You assume he's in the Black Lodge. Somehow he died and then he was transported there, but we don't really know. He's a mystery.
Yeah.
Think about him a lot.
It's nice to get that reference back to Chet. Obviously, like, what an incredible character to only spend so little time with in Fire Walk With Me, but nice to have that brought back explicitly here as well. And because everyone else has disappeared except for Albert, um, Gordon was so reluctant to bring anyone else in, but now they bring Tammy in. So, we get this little backstory about Tammy. They've had their eye on her since she was, a mathlete in high school.
Her honors list at George Washington High, Dan.
But I don't mean to belittle that. That's a fantastic achievement. All through college, et cetera, and bringing her in on this. Tammy is blown away by this. I've stated my appreciation for the actress playing Tammy and what she's doing here, but there are certain moments where just like, how much she's just huffing and puffing about, very excited about this, sipped a glass of wine. It's just a lot.
It's a lot to take in if you get added to the Blue Rose Task Force, Dan. It is no small feat. I mean, you've seen what's a very select club. It's a select club among a select club. So, yes, of course she's excited. She's ready.
And a club that is shrinking by the year as well.
Yeah,
so
but now we're back to 4 people, which is neat, right? Because you get Gordon, we get Albert, you get Tammy, Diane, she gets deputized, and then technically Cooper. I mean, he's MIA, but he's still in the Blue Rose Task Force. So we're back to the original count.
Bring Mr. C and Dougie in just to round out the Blue Rose. That'd be great. I guess other small things in here, just noting that in this little nook where they're hanging out, this little library study area, the big heavy red curtains in the background, beautiful touch to have that there. Diane coming through the curtains was very cool looking. We really spent our time watching Diane pour that vodka and linger over that. There's a lot of these moments in this episode. I've mentioned this in previous ones too, where we just take our time. There's another one later where, wow, it just goes forever. A small act just spread out over time.
Sure, yeah. I timed that act as well.
I did as well.
So it takes quite some time.
Quite some time. It's an entertaining the whole time, but it takes quite some time. And then Diane saying, agreeing to do this. And what do you make of the gesture? She has like 2 fingers up beside her head, almost like finger guns. Let's rock.
Yeah, well, the music they're playing.
Let's rock.
And the Let's Rock, it's the same sound cue from Fire Walk With Me when Cooper sees Let's Rock written on the abandoned car in the Fat Trout.
Is that Agent Desmond's vehicle?
Yep. Sure is.
Diane, it's 4:20 p.m. I am standing here at Wind River near the location where the body of Teresa Banks was found.
Yeah.
The whole thing is very Red Room coded. Obviously, you have the big red curtains that you mentioned. You see Diane come through those curtains, just like we saw Cooper coming through those curtains. And I swear, you hear her enter the room backwards. So you hear the sound of the curtains opening and then you see her. And to me, it sounds like the same backwards sound that you hear when you're in the Black Lodge, White Lodge, waiting room, whatever. So it's just a neat little thing in the audio mix.
Just the curtains, or
just the curtain? So the sound of this is what I'm hearing. Whether you can listen to it and not hear it, but the sound of the curtains opening sounds like they're opening, and it was recorded and played backwards.
That's cool.
Which is neat. And even like the scene starts with Gordon, and he's got like this flashlight that he's putting around the room as Albert is sort of pouring wine or getting Tammy her drink, and it's like Gordon's got a light.
Got a light.
As he's sort of
oh boy,
putting it over the room.
I'm imagining he's like sweeping for bugs or something like that, I guess.
Yeah, we don't know. I mean, spotlights are a thing that reveal another world. You assume it's like a spy gadget thing to make sure that it's safe to talk there because they're adding her to this thing. But it's neat because it's a little flashlight. It's like this cool little flashlight that he's got. He's literally got a light. It's very cool, too, that you hear about the origins of Blue Rose, that it is a military and an FBI joint task force, which ties us directly to Briggs. So they have been working together. This is why we keep talking about the Navy, and then he's got to call the FBI. It's like clearly this thing was set up from Project Blue Book onward. I love the whole thing about the Blue Rose and the woman that says Blue Rose and knowing what that what that means later on. It's a very, very cool story. I look forward to getting to that. The Chair by Angelo Badalamenti is playing as well when they induct her.
Tammy and the Blue Rose.
Blue Rose.
The Blue Rose.
I like how they tell her about the Blue Rose. So Albert starts talking and he gives her a little bit of background. Well, first they do a toast, right?
Right.
So they do this toast to the Bureau.
Here's to the Bureau.
To the Bureau.
To the Bureau.
Which you're reminded of Diane's toast to the FBI.
Cheers. To the FBI.
Compared to this, where it's to the Bureau, and they're all sitting in this nice area drinking wine, and like how the government affects these two different people. It's kind of not lost on me that it is to the FBI versus to the Bureau. But so they do that. Albert does his little thing, and then in between, they do another toast. So they do a drink in between. So Albert goes in, tells his little thing, then they do a drink, and then Albert goes back in and continues the story. It's just neat how they break that up with they do a cheers. They cheers each other in between the thing, which is awesome. When Gordon lowers his volume and closes his eyes, it's so cute, and it's something that I don't know if all men as they get older do. My dad used to do stuff like that, but there's something about him as he's doing the task, like his eyes closed. I don't know. I just found that very, very charming. Diane likes it on the rocks. I do like the nice joke about the Dakotas still on Ice Age. You may have already said that. I don't remember. It's very easy to watch this scene and want to drink wine and smoke again.
Oh, yes.
I have not started smoking. I haven't smoked in many, many, many years. But sometimes you watch Diane and you're like, I was hanging out with Diane. Yes, I'd probably be smoking 2 packs a day again.
For me, in the previous episode when they're in Buckhorn and the cigarette and coffee, that was the one. Like that's the one. The cigarette and wine, that doesn't do it for me. But the coffee for sure. Diane, I would hang outside and smoke an American Spirit with Diane for sure.
All right, so we're gonna jump over back to Twin Peaks. Jerry Horn is gonna run across a rolling meadow, as only Jerry Horn will do.
Hey, man, I'm just glad to see he's still alive. If not any closer to home, I still no idea if he's anywhere near home. And
he's getting there.
Honestly, is this the same trip? Because the first time we see him, he's doing his R&D and he's got his mix of whatever he's made and he's eating a space cake or whatever he called it. And I don't know, man.
Well, he's out of the woods now, right? So you see the woods behind him, and now it very much feels like Raiders of the Lost Ark too. Like as he's running, you expect like a tribe to like pop up behind him.
Daniel, start the engine! Get it up!
It's terrific. Just glad to see him. And apparently he and his feet are getting along now, so that's good.
Yeah, he's full body.
Great.
The only note I have here is it's just a really nice fanny pack that he has. It's kind of cool.
The scenery, man, that shot, the long shot when he's just coming out of the woods and they have the mountain behind it, it's absolutely gorgeous. Everything they've shot in the exterior of, everything they shot is beautiful, but especially the exterior of Twin Peaks is gorgeous.
All right, so we're going to jump over to do some light shopping. At the local grocery, Sarah does some shopping and learns about a new kind of jerky.
Oh, boy. This is an interesting scene. So Sarah coming down the aisle of the grocery store. It's funny because she starts, away from camera coming towards us, and we're situated with the in the liquor area on our left, and it almost looks like she's, what's over there? Like almost as though she's like pretending she's not going to go and grab every single bottle of Smirnoff they have, and then the look of disappointment on her face when there's only the 3 that she's able to grab.
Yeah, she needed more for those Bloody Marys.
She's like, well, I mean, she has this look on her face and shrugs her shoulders like, I guess I'll just have to come back later kind of look. Yeah, I mean, she also has the Bloody Mary mix, as we saw the first time we saw her at the Palmers when she's watching the nature documentary. Her coffee table had the Bloody Mary, so that's her drink of choice. More vodka than tomato juice for sure in her drinks. For some reason, I don't know why this just like smacked me upside the face, but like a carton of Salem's. Boy, I mean, I know how much she smokes, and we see like her ashtrays are filled. We even saw in Fire Walk with Me if I had a nickel for every cigarette butt.
If I had a nickel for every cigarette your mom smoked, I'd be dead.
Even when I was at the height of my smoking, I don't know if I ever really bought a carton So I don't know.
Oh,
Carton,
you never bought a carton?
I don't think so.
You weren't a real smoker.
I would buy
You
a
were
pack
one of
or
those,
two.
like, once in a while at a party smokers.
No.
Yes.
You and I were back in the day smoking parliaments, sitting on the fire escape outside of our office. I was a pack a day.
I smoked when I first started smoking. I started smoking when I was 14.
Ugh.
And I did menthols first, Salem's, I believe, or Newports and Salem. I think Salem's because I liked it. It sounded like witches. It was like the Salem witch. Anything to do with spooky witches shit, I was down with.
Sure.
Then it was, of course, Camel Lights because they weren't marketed towards kids with the freaking camel bucks. And then you'd be like, oh, look, if you look at this thing, it looks like the guy, you can see the guy's penis or whatever. Do you remember that whole thing on the back of the thing? It was like, that's what you do when you're 12. And smoking cigarettes when you couldn't. But then Marlboro Reds forever. That was my go-to cigarette.
You were a red smoker.
Oh, God, yes. Marlboro Reds for years. And then slowly as I tapered off, I think I did Parliament Lights.
Yeah.
A little bit. But Marlboro Reds, that was like the thing. How did you not buy carton?
Well, because it was, back then.
You drive to Delaware, wherever you were driving. You get them for cheaper. And
that's true. My boyfriend at the time would buy cartons. I just wasn't the one to buy them.
You were just one of those, the pretty boys that would just get people buying you cigarettes.
Yes, that's right. That was me.
When you got this face, you have no choice but to buy your own cigarettes, hope for the best.
Whatever they're going to give you, be happy with it. All right. So Sarah gets up to the counter to check out, and she's. I want to hear what you see in this scene with her and the beef jerky. What is it that set her off? But we have a tight shot on the jerky. We have the beef jerky, all natural smoked, and then next to it is the new chicken jerky. But underneath it, like the brand name or something was.
It's not chicken jerky.
Oh, did I say chicken? And beside it, the turkey. I'm even looking at a still of it, and then beside it is the turkey jerky.
I don't remember seeing those beef jerky there before.
That's new.
What type is it?
It's turkey, not beef.
But underneath, like the name says like albatross was the only kind of clue of like maybe there's something. But before we get into like what she says, or maybe we should talk about that first. But I'm really interested to know from your point of view, without spoilers, what it is that really sets Sarah off in this moment.
The turkey jerky.
That's it. That'll do it to anyone.
I'm not kidding.
Yeah, that was just it. Just the fact that it was turkey jerky. All right.
Gobble, gobble.
Quit trying to hold on so tight. I'm gone. Long gone. Like a turkey in the corn.
Turkey. A turkey's one of the dumbest birds on earth.
Gobble. Gobble, gobble.
Okay.
It's Laura Palmer. It's her daughter. And is it smoked? Is it smoked? Yes. Fire. Walk. It's that. And it's also, we get into part 8 stuff that we'll talk about. But yeah,
okay.
I think specifically it is turkey because of Laura Palmer saying she's a turkey. James, of course, saying turkey is as stupid as animal there is. And her saying gobble, gobble.
That's interesting. Okay. I have no other explanation. That works for me. That's great. But the whole thing here, just when Sarah seems to just be talking what sounds like non sequiturs, at least the cashier, it sounds like non sequiturs. Were you here when they first came? Your room seems different. The men are coming.
Were you here when they first came?
Yes. They brought it in a couple weeks ago.
The room seems different. And men are coming.
To me, this feels like she's talking about like the convenience store that we saw in episode 8, part 8. Has she been in the room above the convenience store? Has she been with the denizens of the lodge? It all feels very much to me like she's projecting Laura onto this blonde cashier. Your room seems different as opposed to like the store seems different. I don't know. To me, that feels like the men are coming. To me, like the were you here when they first came? Made me think of flashing back again to White Sands and then the frog moth when all of this first started happening. So I don't know. I don't have a clear idea of exactly what's happening, but that's the only thing to me that kind of made sense as opposed to she's just kind of obviously having a rough time at that moment. And then she just to finish up, as she says to herself, I have to I'm trying to tell you have to watch out. Things can happen. Something bad happened to me. I don't feel good. And then she kind of talks to herself and berates herself. You got to get the keys, out the door. So she's talking to herself in the third person in a very like aggressive way until she gets out of there. But help me make sense of what you see from this scene too.
Sure. Yeah. Well, for me to start off, I think it's just really a neat little detail to see that awning over the deli that says like Twin Peaks Best Deli. Which is a little nice touch that does a little small town charm. I talked about Salem's connection to like witches and things like that that I get. For me, yes, she's set off when she sees the turkey and she recognizes the turkey, and this triggers her. But it is very much about part 8. And the fact that I believe that is a young Sarah Palmer in that episode that we see. And she sees a young girl and a young boy, just like we saw the young Sarah Palmer and that young boy walking together. First off, the cash register total is 133.7. Of course, that's 7 on the left side and 7 on the right side. But think about part 8. You think about those, Sarah walking with that boy when the woodsmen arrive.
Yeah.
Your room seems to be different because the voice talking to her through her is the frog moth that went into her mouth. Your room seems different because it's not the same room that the frog moth entered her in. And now she's in this other room and she's talking about this room. So for me, that room could be Sarah's old room. I'm trying to tell you that you have to watch out. Things can happen.
I'm not sure I know what you mean.
I am trying to tell you that you have to watch out. Things can happen.
Things can happen just like that, Dan.
Sometimes things can happen just like this.
The grandson, Leland. You think about Leland Palmer, that I argue is the grandson. Things can happen just like that. Leland was young and something terrible happened to him with that old man 2 houses over when they used to go to Pearl Lakes when he'd visit his grandparents. And Sarah was young when something happened to her. And Laura was young when something happened to her. Something happened to me. She literally tells you, I don't feel good. I don't feel good. And she starts talking to herself. It tells her what to do. Find the car keys. Find the car keys. Now, there is a scene in The Missing Pieces in which Laura runs out without her car keys and her mom calls her back and then she gets the car keys. And she also forgets at that point that she has a cigarette and she makes her come back and she tells Laura not to smoke anymore. But first off, as well, if you've ever been super high, I have talked to myself in that manner where you're like, just get the car keys, and get out of there. So there's that level. Yeah. There's that just surface level. We've all been there. But that I see, again, we're going to talk a lot about the knowing and Judy being inside of her and now her seeing these things a little bit later on in this episode. But that is what's coming out, and it's becoming aware of the environment triggered by Laura. This doesn't look like the same room, and we got to get the hell out of here. It's crazy. I love the actress that plays the girl as well, saying,
What?
Yes.
And how nice the kid is, just like, I could deliver her all the booze if she wants. But it's very reminiscent of those 2 kids from part 8.
That's awesome.
All right, so we're going to jump over to the Fat Trout Trailer Park, where Carl is going to ask Crisco why he's selling blood, and he offers him money and rent relief.
Just when you think you can't love Carl more. Carl coming out and meeting up with Crisco and realizing that this guy is strapped for cash. He's selling blood just to be able to eat, but he does all this work around there. So not only is he just like going to give him money, he gives him money in a way that shows that he's respected. Like, you do all these things for free for people. You earned this. It's not a handout. It's earning it without even having to say it. He's doing it that way. And also, don't pay the rent this month. Just fantastic. I love the line, "Keep your blood, Crisco." It's a great line.
Yeah. He also says, like, hey, they need blood. But I don't, you could still donate blood, but I don't like when people donate blood when they need the money. You've given enough. Now, Crisco is played by Bill O'Dell, and according to Twin Peaks Wikia, he actually owns the town mobile park, which is where they shot this. So he's the actual owner of this location.
That's great. I like that use. Something similar happened at the Fat Trout in Fire Walk With Me.
I told the story about how he passed a woman on the street and was like, get her name. We're going to put her in this scene.
Yeah,
and then
I love that.
Ended up in the scene. Speaking of names, I should give Zoe McClain, who played the checkout girl, credit. She could be
Wonderful.
listening to this podcast for the first time, finding us. And the bag boy is Johnny Oshner. I hope you got Johnny. We're cool. I'm sorry if I got your name wrong, but you did a great job in this scene. Back in Las Vegas, Dougie plays catch with Sonny Jim.
Does he, though?
He
This
does.
is great.
He tries.
Sonny Jim tries to play catch with Dougie. Again, everyone's steering Dougie where he needs to go, sets him up on the other side of the lawn. They're gonna play. The first thing it makes me think of is in the previous episode, the boys playing catch together without an adult around. Now Sonny Jim is trying to play catch with his dad. And just the way the ball hits him, and Dougie just kind of looks around, and then Sonny Jim's just kind of sighs. He tried, but it's a cute moment. I love it. It's just a short little scene, but
yeah, take the time to play catch with your son. If this was me and my son, the ball would have hit both of us and just fell onto the ground. There's just so much about the importance of being a father and being there for your kids, or being a parent and being there for your kids. I'm not going to talk about this now because I'm going to talk about it a lot later when we talk about Ben, but it's a cute scene. It's very short. There's a lot of short little bursts of scenes in this particular episode. So we're going to go over to the Palmer home, and Deputy Chief Hawk is going to check in on Sarah Palmer, who apparently has some company over.
I will say first thing, man, Lynch has this has instilled in me this Pavlovian response. Probably has done it for all of us, but that shot of the ceiling fan through the window on the upstairs, instantly terror. Instantly. What an achievement to take something just like a ceiling fan, so simple, and it automatically gives you that feeling of dread and foreboding because of all the associations, obviously. Hawk comes up to check on Sarah. Doesn't have the most convincing excuse as to why he's there, opening up a cold case and thought of her, or whatever he says, something along those lines, which is not untrue, but he really is
untrue.
But is checking on Sarah to see how she's doing. You heard about what happened to me. The look on her face, she's like completely a different person now. That shut down, completely stone-faced look on her. She's got her arms crossed in front of her face, and just a very different person than we saw the scared Sarah in the grocery store. She was alive with fear there. Now she's completely shut down.
Well, she's kind of mean.
Really mean. I mean,
looks at him with so much disdain.
She's had a rough go of things, for sure. And we hear some sound inside the house.
Somebody in the house?
No. No, just something in the kitchen.
There's no one here. There's just something in the kitchen. Interesting. I don't know what to make of it. But she does have a startled look on her face whenever she hears the sound. So I'm not sure what to make of it. I'm sure you know more than I do. But it was just an interesting scene to see Hawk coming to try to kind of take care of her, or as much as she'll let him, which is a very Hawk thing to do, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But what do you
Michael Horse and Grace Zabriskie as Hawk and Sarah Palmer are so good in this scene.
Yeah.
There's so much tension between the two of these as they have this conversation back and forth. And as I mentioned, like, she just looks at him with so much disdain and just anger, and he's like, "You're okay then?" And she's like,
"Goddamn bad story, isn't it, Hawk?"
"It's a goddamn bad story, isn't it, Hawk?" And of course, the key for me here is the word story. This is a story.
Yeah.
She is so full of Judy, which is the knowing. Like, she shoved it down like a goddamn frog moth, hid it away, refused to see the terrible things happening all around her. And to her, based on what she said in the grocery store, something happened to me. Like, this is something that happened to her that she pushed down. This is something that happened to her daughter that she pushed down. And now she knows she was forced to, her whole house of cards broke down when she, what Leland was doing was exposed. And now she's forced to see what she had denied so long with her white-eyed, blind milk eyes. That now she's just consumed. She's consumed by this knowing, by this Judy. But she uses the word story.
Yeah.
Because this is a story. Like, she is aware of Twin Peaks as a story. And you think about Bobby and Jack Rabbit's palace.
I know exactly where Jack Rabbit's palace is. My dad, when I was a little kid, he took me to this place. It's near where a station used to be. It was our make-believe world, where we made up stories. And
where we made up stories.
Yeah.
We are watching a story about stories. Like, these are dreams within dreams, plans within plans. So, yeah, this is just wild, wonderful stuff. Great little scene, great little moment, great character piece for both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And Hawk is genuinely concerned, and she is really not having it. And it's just great. It's the back and forth between the two of them are great. And not a lot of dialogue, but you get so much out of it. I love it.
Yeah.
Speaking of getting out of it, I hope Miriam's getting all the healthcare needs that she has, and maybe someone will pay for some of her bills, because they're probably going to be pretty high at Calhoun Memorial, which is where we're going. Miriam is laying in intensive care.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad she's getting help. Hopefully more is on the way, as we'll see later. First thing, it just makes me think of Jacques and how pillows at Calhoun have a habit of sticking on people's faces in the ICU.
Sure.
Hopefully that's not going to happen, but it did come to mind for me as she's laying there helpless. We got a bouquet or basket of flowers beside her. It looks like purple roses, white roses, some, I don't know, other flowers in there. I don't know if there's anything significant in there, but it is nice to see that someone cared enough to bring her flowers too. But poor Miriam.
Something is beeping as well. It's almost like something's failing as the scene ends. You go up to her vitals, and then you hear like the machine kick off. Which, if you're in a hospital with someone that's sick and like those machines are constantly going off, and you're like, "Is this important?" And then you got to be like, "It's beeping." Ever been in the hospital and the thing just keeps beeping?
Right. And they're like, "No, this
Every
is
15
fine."
minutes, it's just like everything's fine. Then they hit a button and then they leave. It's
Yeah.
just like, what was that?
I'll just unplug it all. It's fine.
All right, we're going to go over to the Mayfair Hotel bar where Diane has a drink and receives a text from Mr. C.
I feel like she's, at this point, already got a plaque with her name on it on that chair. She's been hanging out so much in the bar at this area. She's got a text from unknown, we presumably Mr. C, or some
Mr.
third party
right.
in between that we don't know. But anyway, yes. So question, Las Vegas question mark, and she replies in all caps, "They haven't asked yet." She just got this look on her face, like questioning what's coming next. But I don't know what else to make of it other than they're still in cahoots.
It's very interesting. In part 9, Mr. C sent his message in lowercase, and Diane received it in all caps. And in part 12, Mr. C's text is now the one in lowercase, and her response is in all caps.
Who knows?
Don't know, but it's a reverse. It's a mirror, I guess, of itself. Also, it's 7:28 because it seems like she has her phone set in military time or 24-hour clock.
Oh.
So it's 7:28 p.m. right now if you're following along at home. Speaking of following along at home, let's go visit Ben at the Great Northern, where Sheriff Truman visits him with news of Richard's wave of terror. Ben makes good on Miriam's medical bills and gives Frank Cooper's old room key. Afterwards, Ben confides in Beverly.
Oh, what a scene. Love seeing Frank and Ben together. These actors are awesome independently, really great together. The way Frank comes in, sits down, doesn't even know how to begin to tell him this news. And, there's no way to break it to him, but to tell him that Richard is the one who was driving and hit the kid. And Ben just looks heartbroken. Maybe not surprised, but absolutely heartbroken. Just the look of pain on his face. Ben said that boy's never been right.
No.
So I think we'll find out more about that, but definitely seems like it. Had run-ins with Harry over the years, nothing major, but it kept growing every time. It was a little more, a little more, a little more. Now it's ending up where it is now. We find out for sure that Richard is on the run. We knew he was, but now the police are aware that he's on the run as well, so he's trying to get out of there. Apparently, Ben and Richard don't have the best relationships since Ben has stopped giving him what he wanted.
No, and we heard that from Sylvia as well, so it checks out with what she
so
said.
they got no relationship whatsoever, so he just laughs that he's going to hear anything from Richard, but if he did, I'm sure he would tell Frank about that. We do get into the, hey, look, this key came in the mail. It's been 20 years since we used these types of keys. It was Cooper's old room. Do you think Harry would like it? I'm very wistful. I just love how much Harry shows up in this. Man, what a difference it would have been with Harry here. Love Frank, don't get me wrong. So interesting to see what it would have been with Harry. But they're both true men, so it's fine. Richard, Ben says that Richard never had a father, and he has this, almost soliloquy, rhapsodizing, thinking about how his father was there for him, thinking about the Schwinn bicycle that he got secondhand. Even though it was a pain in the butt to ride it, he still loved it so much. I love this bike my father bought me. I love this moment. And Beverly as well, being there, listening to this, and the tear that comes down her face. No attention being drawn to it. She doesn't wipe it away. She doesn't do anything. It's just a subtle thing. I love the connection that the two of them have. It's beautiful. But yeah, tell me your thoughts on this. I think this is what you were alluding to me talking about fathers and their children.
Yes. Yeah. Well, first off, to start off, it's so neat to see that mural that is behind Ben in his office. It's the same mural that we had in the original series as well. So it's here. It's a really beautiful piece of work, and it includes like these little Saturn planets that you can see in the design and in the artwork. If you go to 25 Years Later blog, David Titterington, hopefully I'm getting your name correct. I'm so paranoid now about how I pronounce everyone's names. I know I've mispronounced a lot of people's names, but now like people are finding our podcast and listening to like old episodes, and they're like, you mispronounced this thing. Like someone was giving me the business before. And it's like when a lot of the stuff, like when I'm looking back, like I know we recorded that. It was so long ago. And did I say, yes, I said that name wrong. So I'm going to say many names wrong. But hopefully, David, I got your name right, because you wrote a great article about this. So this particular artwork is based on Heyday Bentwood burial chest. I'm probably getting the Heyday part, right? Haida. And from the article, there's a quote from David's article. It says, traditionally, these elaborately carved and painted chests are inserted into totem poles, or they're burned and destroyed at potlatches. Sometimes human remains are placed inside the bento box and then burned, and then the mixed ashes are interned in the totem pole. In a sense, the abstract orca behind Ben Horn's desk transforms the Great Northern into a giant ghostwood coffin. So it's a recreation of artwork that would appear on these funeral boxes in the Pacific Northwest indigenous culture and artwork. And it's something that's been there since the original show. So it's neat that they carried it over. Like in the original show, if you look at where this particular mural is, it's kind of the same, but like there's like double doors in the return. In the original show, there was just one door. That's where Ben goes out to get a sandwich when he gets arrested for the murder of Laura Palmer. But still, it's neat that they have this mural because it's really, really beautiful work.
It's gorgeous.
Miriam, we also find out she was a nursery school teacher. She's got no insurance. We knew how nice she was. Now she's like literally taking care of kids in a story all about kids and being nice to kids. And here's this nice woman who's destroyed by Richard. Richard never had a father. When Ben hears that she's in intensive care, you forget, or you don't. His own daughter was in intensive care. We know Audrey was in intensive care, and how close to home that is going to hit for him. When he talks about the key and he's going to give Harry the key, you know how close Harry and Cooper were.
Right.
And what the destruction of that friendship looked like post episode 29. Mr. C comes out of the lodge. How that relationship fractured. What did Harry think? Like, they're not talking. Harry's sick and dying. He has this friend that they were as tight as brothers. And then as horrible as Mr. C is, like the betrayal and what that would have done to Harry to watch that happen. And in what ways did Mr. C hurt Harry? And like all of these things that must have happened in the 25 years that we missed is really something to think about. It's something we won't get, but the idea that he's getting this key back, he'll like that. But in a way, it's probably also extremely painful for Harry to get a 315 key, knowing what's become of Cooper. Like knowing that world is gone and this new monster, and he's done horrible, horrible things. It's just neat.
Yeah.
We get all these stories about memories of parents, fathers, and sons. We've got Major Briggs and Bobby. He never lost faith in you. Betty Briggs tells him. We've got Bobby and Becky. If he ever hurts you, and watching his daughter spiral. Obviously, you got Becky and Shelley. We covered that. We've got Dougie and Sonny Jim that we just watched them having this catch. You've got the drugged out mother and the boy, and you've got Ben and his bicycle. And it's like when you think about what a family is a unit, like an atom, right? And when we think about the bomb, the hydrogen bomb, and we think about Bob, the negative about splitting that atom apart. And we have Richard never knew his father. Even the stuff with Ben, he's getting a gift of the bicycle from his dad. It's not a memory of playing with your dad. It's a gift from, and immediately you think of Citizen Kane. I think of Citizen Kane when it comes to Ben, like this very rich guy who's probably going to these schools, and his dad gives him the bike. Whatever. He has a good. It's a positive memory, but this idea of splitting a family apart and the destruction of a family is like the destruction of an atom, which is like an H bomb. And when you think about the jackpot lady finding her estranged son and reconnecting its fusion, which is what happens in a sun. Laura Palmer, we have all this sun positivity energy coming from Cooper. Like, it's beautiful. Like, it's beautiful to think of family in the same context of splitting atoms or merging atoms. The playing catch part, too, is just a beautiful thing to tie that to it. And not to take anything away from Ben, I don't want him to end on a sour note. But nothing for the mom of the kid that Richard, he's like, I'm going to take care of Miriam. Make sure you pay for all of her bills. And you're like, this poor mom, she just lost her son. Maybe you could buy something.
He does ask about her and he asks how she's doing. And Frank's answer is gutting, as you could expect. Like, what else can you say?
Yeah.
Oh,
it
man.
never comes up that he's going to pay. I'm going to pretend that he's going to pay. I do love how it ends.
I love that bike that my father got for me.
It's just, his delivery is great. Love it. But were you going to say something? I saw you were perking up.
No, this was amazing. I never thought about the connection of atomic family unit and the splitting of the atom here. That's really interesting, putting these together.
So let's take a moment, friends, family, the greatest people in the world that are supporting our show. It's that time again for us to take a moment and say thank you to the fine people that have entered the Black Lodge, including literally 2 hours ago, I think, before we started recording this, I was getting a new member that's going to be added. So, Dan, let's just say thank you to Chuck Suffle, Gregory Flanagan, Dawn Adamo, Banjo Track, Eric Knopp, Charlie Tapper, Jake Jagello, Matthew Fuller, David Melito, Daryl Dyson, Dana Gould, who I may be talking to soon enough, Jeff, Henrik E., Concluding Remarks. They just the names.
That's a good one.
Also, I like when some people just gets a pun in on that. We have Brian Johnson, Meerkats, Raga Raven, Evan Fitz, and Hazel Haywood. It's getting to the point where we may even have to break this up, Dan, into two sections. So let's just
What a good problem to have.
Yeah, let's have a 8-hour podcast, 7 of which is Black Lodge supporters. No, thank you very much.
We're going to need a bigger Formica table for us to all be able to sit around.
Yes.
Is what the point we're getting at here. Love it.
Thank you all. Thank you to every member of the Black Lodge. Thank you to all the people in the pink room. Thank you to all the people nervous about meeting Jay tonight. And thank you for the people that took the time to register free accounts. Except for that one person that I blocked that took a time to register a free account and then posted in everything about winning a MacBook. Get him off the table, but everyone else, you're fantastic.
The MacBook was a real offer. I'm sorry that you didn't like it, but I wanted people to know about it, all right?
All right, so let's go to Gordon's hotel room where we'll put some stuff together. Like, how do you get rid of a French girl? No, Gordon tells a French girl about an old war story when Albert arrives with news about Diane. In Gordon's hotel room, Gordon tells a French girl about an old war story when Albert arrives with news about Diane. In Gordon's hotel room. No, I was just going to keep going for 2 minutes and 47 seconds.
Yes, that's right. It's 2.5 minutes from... It's interesting that you say that's an old war story. For me, I was thinking it was like an FBI raid. Like, I'm picturing like Al Capone style, like that sort of like back at that age. I love it. This beautiful woman curled up on the sofa, hanging on every word Gordon has to say, her head on his shoulder, her hand across his chest, listening to him tell this story. She is just enthralled. She's staring off in the distance, like picturing everything he's saying. I love this. The two of them with the big glasses of, I'm assuming, the Bordeaux that's sitting
Yeah.
there on the table. I just love this shot of the two of them. Albert comes in. He has some news to tell him, so he asks Gordon, can we have her leave? So we both timed this. I timed it from the moment that Gordon says, I'll call you by the bar, until the moment when her hand leaves the frame when she's walking down the hallway.
Yeah.
And that was exactly 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
I timed it a little bit differently. I took it from the moment Albert asked her to leave. I took it from Albert's perspective because he's so frustrated the whole time. So it was like, can you ask her to leave until Gordon is into the conversation? It was almost 3 minutes.
Sure. Yeah, I was just thinking about her taking all the things she does to get ready to leave. She checks her makeup, but each time she's doing things, she turns back to Gordon and gives him a smile, this flirty thing. Like she's performing for him this entire time she's leaving, kicking her feet up, and I'm assuming the Louboutin shoes that she's wearing, très chic, all of this. And as she's finally gets to the door frame and she puts her hand up and strikes a pose there, and then she it's rubbing his face and does the baby tie, and that makes Albert real uncomfortable. That's the one time you see Albert, they pan back to him and he turns away, really uncomfortable watching that whole interaction. It's terrific.
And he has a reputation for it because Denise told us that.
Really, Gordon?
What are you getting at, Denise?
Well, I know your profile, Gordon. Beautiful agent, barely 30.
I'm old school, Denise. You know that.
But yeah, she was like, Gordon, you have a reputation for the ladies.
I mean, look, she's absolutely gorgeous and seems to really enjoy his company. So why not?
She's the kind of girl that makes you wish you spoke a little French.
What a beauty. Kind of reminds me of that statue, the babe without the arms.
Venus de Milo.
The name was Milo, but that's beside the point. That's the kind of girl to make you wish you spoke a little French.
That's exactly right. Yeah. Well, speaking of French girls, is this the callback that we were talking about before? The first time we're in the Mayfair hotel, this is when Albert and the coroner,
Constance.
I was a C. When Albert and Constance are having their date, and it's cute, and then there's a woman that walks through with a French flag. She practically had a beret and a baguette. But anyway, she walks through, and it was so unusual. So this is the allusion to the French woman, I guess, later.
If there's more to it to that than what I meant in that scene when that came up, I said, oh, it pays off later, is that there's a French. I'm assuming there's some kind of French something going on in the
I don't know. Well, she was in town because her mother's friend's daughter.
Yeah, exactly. Her mother's friend's daughter is missing.
Don't worry, she's a turnip farmer. She'll turn up later. Again, that phrasing just makes me think we were just talking about Lil and the awkward phrasing, what was left out, the uncle. Anyway, I know it's not the same thing, but just the mother's friend's daughter. I don't know. But this entire time, so Cole comes back and says the turnip joke, complete no reaction, blank expression from Albert. She didn't get it either, but the language, do you know how many language? Blank face the entire time until, okay, can we get down to business now? All right. What do you want to talk about? So the two of them trying to puzzle this out. What do we know that we haven't asked about? Very much makes me think of the case in Twin Peaks where there's something missing. It has to do with your heritage, another thing. Like what is that what we know about that we haven't asked? So the information's in there somewhere. They just got to figure out what it is. Then we get another like mishearing joke where it's a Bordeaux. What kind is it? 11:30. Stone-faced again.
Not 11:30. 11:05, which adds up to 7.
Oh, sorry. My numerology was off. Don't let me screw it up.
7's his favorite number, so you're going to find it.
Because 7 is my favorite number.
Mm-hmm. I love 7 too. 7 and 17. 17's always been my favorite.
17 is an 8, but that's a nice number too.
So that's great. But there's just the other thing that's happening is Albert has a stone face, and then we have these moments of cutting back and forth between Cole and Albert, and the two of them. There's shots that go ping pong back and forth where neither of them are saying anything. They're not sure how to proceed. And it's Cole that is always the one that breaks first or like moves the conversation along. But Albert is just, it makes me recall that scene earlier, previous story or episode where Albert's like, don't pretend you can't hear me, which he says that he has to come along with him to go see Diane. Don't pretend you can't hear me. It makes me think of the relationship and how much of this does Albert think is BS that Gordon's pulling on people with the hearing stuff and how much isn't. It's just cute. I love to see their relationship continue to develop over time. It's good stuff.
Berenice Marlowe is the actress who's playing the French woman. I'm not going to keep saying that I'm probably mispronouncing your name because
Let's
it's
just
going to
assume.
happen forever. You just assume it's mispronounced, and if I get it right, you can leave it in the comments.
My promise to you.
Yeah, she was Severin in Skyfall. I like the James Bond movies. She was in Skyfall. She's great in that movie. I love the fact that she doesn't even speak English, like at all. Like anytime that Gordon is interacting with her, she's just coming back in French. So you wonder, does she speak English at all? Like, are the two of them actually having a Hap's diner?
Right.
Or just, having their little love affair? I talked about this is the kind of girl that makes you wish you spoke a little French. Immediately you think about, the original Twin Peaks when he sees Shelley for the first time. You also think about Fire Walk with Me with that old man that's with that young French woman.
Oh, yeah.
Or the French-Canadian woman, most likely, in the Hap's diner.
Are you talking about that little girl that got murdered?
You got something to tell us?
I know shit from Shinola.
So it's kind of a neat little thing. Also kind of poking fun, I feel like, at himself, like, David Lynch poking fun of it at himself. There's I think you covered most of the stuff that I want to talk about. The visiting a friend of her mother's whose daughter has gone missing is interesting because it's like, is this actually a case? Or is this just a joke to do the turn-up joke? Because he's like, she didn't get it either because you can't translate. It doesn't, being French, it doesn't translate. Which is also like, it's a serious crime.
Yeah.
And yet it's treated as a joke, which is a thing that's Roger Ebert, who did not like Lynch stuff, would always hit him for that stuff and say, like, he does all these serious things, and at the end he turns it into a joke, like he doesn't have any respect for women, whatever. He was wrong, completely wrong on all that stuff.
My reaction is, I think this movie is cruelly unfair to its actors. It was directed by David Lynch, the same man who made Eraserhead and Dune, and he's a talented director. You can see that here, and seems to have a lot of power. But he asked Isabella Rossellini in this movie to be undressed and humiliated on the screen, as few actresses ever have been, certainly in non-porno roles. And then he tries to take the edge off her shocking scenes by turning the whole thing into some kind of a joke. Well, either this material is funny, in which case you don't take advantage of your stars, or it isn't funny, in which case it shouldn't have so much campy and adolescent dialogue along with the really powerful sexual scenes. Sure, the movie's well made, but the more I thought about it, the less I liked it.
Well, I liked it. When he says, Albert, sometimes I really worry about you, makes me so sad.
Sometimes I really worry about you.
That I almost want to start crying because Miguel is dying in real life.
Yes.
And I always see that line as Lynch talking to his friend Miguel outside of the show. I'm not saying that that's actually what it is. Probably me projecting onto it, whether it is or isn't. That's what goes in my heart when I hear that line in that moment. And you're right about the amount of space in this episode, this scene, not only the 2 minutes, 47 seconds from the time he asks her to leave till she leaves, but like, you're right, in that last conversation with the two of them, it's just long pauses and holding the moment and just in stillness going back and forth until you get that line. And it's very sad, or it's very touching or whatever. But that's all I have for this. If we can jump over, unless you have something else. Yes?
No, let's jump back in. Let's go out to South Dakota.
Okay,
Eric.
let's go to South Dakota. We're going to Warden Murphy's house in South Dakota, where Hutch and Chantel make dinner plans.
They sure do. Yes, that's the most important point, is the Wendy's that they passed on the way out. But she's hungry. She's so hungry that she doesn't have time to torture the warden like Hutch knows that she would love to do. And he asked her a couple of times because he's a caring partner. He's going to ask, and then just to make sure, he's going to ask again. But she's got her Cheetos, so she'll be fine. The choice to eat the Cheetos while she's watching this murder happen in front of her, God, it's so good. This is like the second or third time we've seen her like eating the Cheetos like this.
And David Lynch has, I've always heard that he loves Cheetos. That's like one of his favorite things.
Well, I'd rather her eating the Cheetos than another person smoking, but that's great. The two of them with their nondescript black van. Hutch, the biggest long gun in the world sticking out at the side of that van. I'm actually, I gotta say, I'm surprised that it either he decided to take 2 shots at the warden or that it took 2 shots. I'm gonna say
That's a
he decided to.
professional. That's a professional, Dan. You always do the second shot to make sure the job is done. An amateur is going to take 1 shot and hope that they're dead.
Oh no, I would just would have gone for the headshot. No,
2
you
shot,
wouldn't
boom,
go for the
boom.
headshot.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, different professionals,
fine.
different schools of thought on this.
yeah.
But,
So you're saying you would have just exploded his head immediately, I guess.
well, because it also just leaves a better impression. It's like, whoa. Then the kid comes out. The kid comes out the front door. Daddy.
That's the real Judy. That kid is the real Judy. You were looking for Judy? It's that kid.
Holy crap. Breaking news.
Played by Luke Judy. The actor's name is Luke Judy,
okay.
so it's the
All right.
yeah.
Well, now the kid knows. So I guess they take the 2 shots. Now they're off to Wendy's. So I don't know. Tell me what you thought here.
No, I mean, I don't have much to say other than this, like, talking about Wendy's. Tim Roth is in the van. It feels like Lynch doing Tarantino.
We don't have time for torture, babe. I'm hungry. Pass the Wendy's back there. Just shoot him.
Who most certainly borrowed very heavily from Lynch. But like doing violence and having this mundane conversation about fast food. I don't think it was intentional. I'm not saying it's intentional, but like, I'm not thinking Lynch is like, oh, I can do that. Like, I'm not saying that. But having that scene play out, especially with Tim Roth in it, like it was like, we don't have time to go to Wendy's. We go to Wendy's. Let's go to, and that last line is like, next stop Wendy's is great.
Next stop, Wendy's.
But I don't know. That's all. That's the only thing I have. It's a very short scene. We talked about how Hutch was supposed to kill the warden, either at home, at work, or on the way. And he's going to do a double header next. So 2 more people are on the list. So we'll see where they go next. So we're going to go over to Dr. Jacoby's. It's 7 o'clock. It's time for Dr. Amp to go live, and Nadine is there for it. The American Hindu Kush.
The roof of the American Hindu Kush. Roof. Same delivery, same opening monologue that he's had before. But this time, Dr. Amp knows where his bread is buttered. He goes the shovel ad almost right away, right into commercial.
The fucks are at it again. Yeah.
It's great. Nadine, I love this. It's working for me, Dr. Amp. She's sitting there drinking whatever it is that she was drinking. We were talking about this before, the shake or whatever. Sitting there just enthralled by it. She is so enamored of him. This time when he's giving his speech about those corporate fucks and poisoning us and everything, he's literally foaming at the mouth.
Yeah.
Just noticing it this time. But yeah, I don't know. It felt very similar to previous times we've seen this.
Right.
Just seeing
it's
more
always
of it.
fun. I have in my notes 2 chow fonts. I don't know why I wrote 2 chow fonts. The old me, there was something that I was making a joke or something that was connected to 2 chow fonts. I don't remember why I did it. It's working for me, Dr. Amp. It's working for all of us. The fucks are at it again. Great line. I do still think like, it's very much undercut by his selling. Like he's a bit of a grifter, this character, although he's not wrong about the fucks being at it again. And I don't know. I don't know where I'm going to land on Dr. Amp. But I will tell you where I will land, and that's at Audrey Horne's place. Audrey Horne, we have not seen Audrey Horne in how long? And here is Audrey Horne. She wants to go to the Roadhouse, Dan, and she wants to look for Billy, but her husband, Charlie, she's married. He's too busy with work.
All right. So this is the first of 2 different scenes where we just get a lot of new character names, people that we may or may not have seen before, maybe will see at some point, but just a lot of names getting thrown out at us here. We have Audrey in her husband's, let's call it study, office, whatever, just noticing like the papers everywhere, the books piled on top of the mantle, shoved into the bookcase. Just everything is a mess around them. Just completely cluttered, completely disordered. Definitely makes me think this is the rest of their house. This is their marriage. This is just everything's kind of piled up and needs to be swept away or cleaned up. Finally coming back to that moment from the end of part 7 where they're looking for Billy.
Mm-hmm.
So now Audrey's on the case as well. She is really on one here. Needed to get out and find Billy, who we find out that she's in love with and is fucking.
Yeah.
So that's great. And Charlie remains completely calm this entire time.
They had a contract.
She's not going to go back. She's not going to renege on a contract, Eric, but she is. She's willing to do that, of all things. Poor Charlie's just so sleepy. He's got so much work to do before he can sleep. But we have this to deal with. So we find out that there's this woman, Tina. She told Audrey that Chuck was the last person who saw Billy. So it's just name.
I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, I believe Tina was the last person to see Billy.
Oh, sorry, right. So Chuck told Audrey that Tina was the last person to see Billy. And you can't trust Chuck because he's certifiable. You're absolutely right. They do say that. So who knows what's actually real there. Audrey does say, because she's so wound up, we have to go find him. I saw Billy in my dream last night. He was bleeding from the nose and mouth. And dreams sometimes hearken a truth. Love the use of the word hearken there. Terrific. So Charlie goes into this whole thing and tells her, did you know that Chuck stole Billy's truck last week? So help me break this down. So assuming that Billy is the guy who
we know a truck was stolen. I will tell you before you say help me do this,
please.
Help me do that. I'm going to go a little crazy.
Okay.
That is going to go in a maybe different direction than where your questions are leading. So I don't want to go into it until you've sort of worked all the stuff out. But yes. So if that farmer was Billy,
the one that Deputy Andy went to go interview.
And that supposedly Richard stole his truck to kill the little kid. And we hear about a stolen truck in this, but they say Chuck stole it.
Right. And the last we saw of Billy was the house with the door slightly ajar and the creepy music. So he's definitely missing there. But we had thought, or he had told Andy that Richard had taken the truck, or just that was stolen. I don't remember that.
It never got stolen. Never got said. So Andy shows up at the farmer's house, credited as the farmer, not credited as Billy.
Right.
But that's your truck. I know it's my truck. I can't talk to you about this here. I told you, please go away.
But if you weren't driving, I need to know who was.
I'll tell you the whole story. I'll meet you somewhere, but I can't talk to you here. Please, you got to get out of here now.
The logging road above Sparkwood and 21.
And they make an appointment to meet at 4:30, right?
Okay.
And then he never shows.
Right.
And then we see his house with his door open and it's scary music. We never see it. Then at the end of that episode, we're in the double R, right? And then David Lynch's son, I can't remember the character's name.
Trey? No, not Trey. I'm thinking Trey now. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Runs over, says, "Billy, has anyone seen Billy?" And then and that's all you know.
Okay.
Until now, when you hear about a stolen truck, but it's Chuck that stole it, and yeah, but
so it was just left to the imagination to put the pieces together. That I just assumed that he had said that it was Richard, but he actually never actually said it. That was just all in the viewer's head, like, oh, it was Richard, but. No.
Yes, because you saw him in that truck.
Okay, cool. So I was wondering, like, how does this Chuck Richard thing fit in? But we don't have answers yet. We just have more pieces to figure out. So then from there, so we get that story about what happened with the truck and Chuck, and he's unreliable and all this. He does say Billy came out of his house and saw Chuck driving off with his truck. Billy called the sheriff. They found the truck the same afternoon. They called Billy, but I guess Billy got his truck back and dropped charges. And then last we see of Billy, don't know where he is. Cool. So that all lines up. We'll figure out what that means.
Right. And at that point, it breaks off, of course, it's not the same truck that was used in a murder, because we know that truck's not found and they wouldn't give it back. And it's like a different truck being stolen.
Oh, man. This is okay. Great. This is all very confusing. Audrey had this look on her face like, I'm not sure what to make of this. And I was just like, yes, same. I'm not entirely sure what's happening.
Well, it's perfectly done because her husband, Charlie, which is also another name for Chuck, is calling Tina.
Yes.
And you only hear his side of the conversation, which isn't much. And you're with Audrey, like, come on, like, try and get what's happening. So
it's so
she's
good.
All of us. She hates her husband.
And we just get that one side of it. And when he hangs up the phone and he goes completely stone-faced, that's a theme in this episode, just staring at her with contempt which he didn't have before, which seems like based on their relationship would be totally warranted. I would understand it, but he's been so patient with her. But at this point, after whatever he heard from Tina, he just looks pissed. So really looking forward to finding out what happened there. But yeah, tell me your take on all of this.
So Audrey says, if you were missing, she says to her husband, if you were missing, would you want people finishing their fucking homework before they went looking for you? Like homework.
Yeah.
Who would say homework? A high school kid. Because Audrey, like Lucy, is trapped in time. She's still trapped back from whenever the moment is with the bomb went off at the bank. And she is like a high school girl frozen in amber. She's like taken from the old show and stuck in time for a bit. She says, Billy's been missing for 2 days. We talked about this. Is this the farmer? I don't think it's the farmer. She says that she's in love with Billy and that she's having sex with him. Because the character we know that she had sex with is John Justice Wheeler, who's played by Billy Zane. I think the Billy is the Billy from Billy Zane. She did have sex with this character, but she's lost. She is literally like inside and outside of Twin Peaks at the same time. She saw Billy in her dream. His bleeding from the mouth. Did his plane crash on his way to Brazil? Was he murdered in Brazil? Oh, she wants him to sign papers, something fishy, running by his lawyer, and she mentions Paul. But whatever. He comes back with this idea of a contract, which is certainly a marriage is a legal contract. But something else seems to be involved, like a contract to be on the television show Twin Peaks that keeps her sort of locked into this world of being inside and outside of this show. He says, like, he wants to go with her, but even though he is sleepy, like this whole thing anyway is just some kind of crazy dream. They're going to go to the roadhouse. He talks about it's a new moon. He talks all about the woods. So she's in like this red jacket, right? And it's about this woods. And it becomes like this fairy tale of Red Riding Hood going through the woods.
Sure.
And you think about her in One-Eyed Jacks and that whole sort of storyline going on. I know it sounds a little nuts, like that Billy is Billy Zane, literally the actor's name, and she's confusing the two. But on Blue Sky, I saw John Thorne. Now, you know John Thorne, Wrapped in Plastic, also Blue Rose Magazine. He posted, quote, amazing find on Facebook, thanks to Kiara Walker and Charlene Weiss for pointing it out. It looks like Charlie and John Justice Wheeler share a similar wardrobe, strengthening the theory that Charlie is a product of Audrey's memory. And yes, they have this picture, and it's the same vest that John Justice Wheeler is kind of wearing in season 2 in the scene where he's talking. So it's as if she's like trapped in something's happened. She's in this other world. She's between worlds, literally between this idea of Twin Peaks and outside of Twin Peaks. And she's conflating and confusing and everything is sort of blending together. And this is sort of who her husband is, but it's not the right memory that she had. And the John, you know, the John Justice Wheeler I knew looked different. He looked like freaking Billy Zane. So yeah, it's crazy. I'll put a link to it obviously in the show notes so you can see that picture too. But God damn it. All right.
What I really would have liked is instead if he was wearing that instead.
No, it's not one of those classic Mark Frost sweaters.
It really would have driven the point home had it been that big sweater instead. But all right, that's fine. That's cool.
But for me, obviously, you've been listening to the show now 12 parts. I'm big in on the idea of going in and out of the show and the show being a dream within a dream and all that stuff. So
absolutely.
Yeah. Is Billy the farmer? It doesn't make sense when you get to the car stuff. Because the things don't line up and whatever. And I know where things go as well in the show that would strengthen things that I believe in or whatever. But it's not anything that we're going to get to a part of the show. And it's like, oh, yes, like it's all dream. We're in a world of dreams. And that's my dream.
That's great.
So what else do we have? Yeah, a bunch of names. You got a whole bunch of these character names. Chuck. Is Chuck Richard, like all this stuff that you have to ask. Who's Tina? Who are all these people? Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? Audrey really hates her husband, though. That's all I can tell you. So let's go back to the Wayfarer. Let's get away from trying to think about Billy Zane. I keep thinking of Billy Zane in Zoolander.
Don't do this, Derek.
Listen to your friend Billy Zane.
He's a cool dude.
Okay, so back at the Mayfair Hotel bar, Diane has a drink and discovers the coordinates point to Twin Peaks.
So it's just interesting to me. This would be the first time that she's tried thinking of the coordinates and has the thought to look it up. But maybe this is the only time she can get away and have some privacy. Back to her same spot, the bar stool with her name on it. Weird how she's typing it in and she says co-ord-in-8 plus 2. I don't know what that was about.
Yeah.
But she's typing the coordinates, fine, whatever. And we get the pin drop on Twin Peaks. So, dun, dun, dun. I just imagine her being like, oh, man, I forgot to send those ear pillows to Dale that one time when I was in Twin Peaks. But
Well, it's funny you say that because that was going to be my only note, was thinking back to Albert last week. These numbers indicate a small town in the north, and he's going to say northwest. Like you can hear
Sure.
northwest is coming out of. Couldn't he have just said Twin Peaks? You've been there. Gordon has been there. You would think you'd just say, oh, it actually goes to Twin Peaks. All right, so at the Roadhouse, the Chromatics perform as Abby and Natalie gossip, and Trick arrives looking for a drink.
So here we are with another scene where it's just like a bunch of people that we have no idea. So we're going to meet Abby and Natalie. Trick arrives later, but meantime, they're talking about Clark and Angela who have a thing going, but Clark was with Mary before. Oh, I hate her. And Angela's off her meds, which makes me think without chemicals he points. I don't know, but
sure, yeah.
We haven't seen anything, so who knows if we're ever going to see these characters. But before we even get into the Roadhouse, just another one of these beautiful shots flying over the woods of Twin Peaks until we get to the bar.
Mm-hmm.
It's absolutely, there's all these shots. I just want a super cut of nothing but the woods shots. That just gorgeous. Back in the Roadhouse here, though, talking about all of this, I feel like, the previous time we were here, we had two other people that we didn't really know anything about, and they're having the conversations about the zoo animals and the disgusting rash.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite sections to talk about.
Before that, we had Richard and his assault in a booth that was almost probably in the same spot. Are we in the same booth every time? I don't know. Kind of feels like we're in the same spot in the Roadhouse. We got Trick coming in here, all wild-eyed because he was almost run off the road. I almost got fucking killed coming over here. Some ass-eaters heading towards me on the highway and runs me off the road. Is this Richard fleeing Twin Peaks?
Could be.
It makes me feel like it could be because he's on the road, on the land, because we just heard about that. I don't know why otherwise it would be a useful thing. But it does also say some farmer had to pull me out. Not the same farmer, but we get the repetition of these ideas again, which is kind of cool. Yeah, you have to talk about a dream within a dream, how you'll have one dream, kind of wake up and go back and sleep and have another dream, and similar themes come up, but they're slightly changed. It kind of makes me feel some of that. And I think the most important thing we need to find out, though, is Trick, or isn't he, on house arrest?
Yeah, well, he's free man now. He's a free man again.
It's just interesting to keep meeting all these characters who seem random right now, and maybe they just never come back again, but we keep sitting at this booth and meeting new people when we come into the Roadhouse.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't get too attached to too many of them.
That's what I'm feeling, yeah.
Yeah. Abby is played by Elizabeth Ann Weiss, and Natalie is played by Ana de la Reguera. Chromatics playing Saturday Night. Fantastic song. Man, I want to hang out in the Roadhouse with the Chromatics playing. What a fantastic band.
The actor playing Trick, I don't really recognize him, but looking him up, he was in a bunch of other Lynch things. Yeah, tell me.
Run into my whole thing, Dan.
Do it.
Did you have it, or?
No, I'm good.
Okay, so yeah, you ran down the whole thing. Angela was supposed to show she didn't. She might be with Clark. They've been hanging out, Clark and Mary, and we know Angela hates Mary, right?
I mean, who doesn't?
Angela hates Mary, and so does Abby, right? I don't know what to make of any of it. I mean, it's very interesting. You talked about the meds. Did you talk about how her mom died too, and like that?
Oh, right.
Which does suggest some kind of violence, to me anyway, to lose her mom like that in this town where these horrible things are happening. So what's going on with this entire scene, and why is it here? And what are we supposed to take from it? I don't know. But as you mentioned, yeah, Trick is played by Scott Coffey. He's an actor. He's worked with David a lot. He was in Lost Highway as Teddy, Mulholland Drive as Wilkins. He's one of the voices in Rabbits, which also appeared in Inland Empire. He was in Wild at Heart, but the scene was cut. He was also in Some Kind of Wonderful as Ray. He's a director himself. I know he made a movie with Naomi Watts called Ellie Parker. When David Lynch died, he spoke at a screening of Mulholland Drive just after his passing with Justin Theroux and Naomi Watts, and he spoke about how sad he was because the two of them were very close. Obviously, they worked on a number of projects together over the years, but he also stressed how funny David was, and he shares this story from the film when they were doing a POV shot in Mulholland Drive.
And then it was time to do the point of view, and a Union Steadicam guy showed up, and he's a big guy. He was like 6'8", and he's like a linebacker. These guys have to be big because they have to carry these rigs around there, like their backs, and they're big, strong guys. So we came in for the day to do this, and usually the protocol is like the cinematographer kind of tells them what to do. Okay, we're doing this, and here's the light, and so they do all that, and the guy does a take. Peter Deming, who shot the movie, tells him what to do, and the guy goes and does it. And he does a pretty perfunctory job. He goes down the hall and is doing her point of view, and David gets up out of his chair and goes, no, and comes up and gets right in the guy's face, like, you're really scared. You don't know what's in there. It could be like a dead body in there. So you look, shows the guy, and the guy's like, never been directed by a director before. He's not an actor, and he keeps sort of looking at Peter, and Peter's laughing, and he's like, you go here, and you real slow right here, because around the corner, he does this whole thing, and the guy's just like, okay. And they get a take, and David's behind him, like, steering him down the hall, and the guy is like a performer now.
And then that's how they get the shot. Like, he works with the freaking camera guy as a performer.
That is lovely.
Yeah.
That is fantastic to be able to have that sort of way to think about how a camera is to behave and to try to get a performance of the camera through that person. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's a great story. And then he talks about how he was shooting a scene with a dog. So there's a scene in the film with a dog, and the dog is played by a dog named Jack.
He's like from another room on a blowhorn. David's like, okay, Scott, hang up the phone, count to 3, pick it back up, dial. And he's like, and the dog's name was Jack, and he goes, and Jack? And everyone's dying of laughter. You just sit there and you watch the dog there. It's like, it was insane. Like that was the experience that everybody has. At least in my experience of working with him was just this like amazing.
Hilarious.
It was absurd and weird and wonderful,
Lots of laugh.
Yeah.
The dogs were taking direction perfectly. He was an amazing person. In the same performance, Justin Theroux reads a poem by David Lynch, something that he says that he'd ask him to always read before a screening. I'm going to save that for the very end so we can go out, leave the show on that note. I don't know. Did you have anything else on this thing, or should we end it?
No, let's wrap it up. I mean, this was a lot of interesting things here, but I did like the way this was paced with a bunch of little short bursts of things happening in between. And for once, it wasn't an episode that was just hugely focusing on violence throughout. It's in the background throughout.
No, it's like an exhale, this episode.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it for sure.
It's a slow, take your time with the thing, It's an interesting episode. It's a little break.
Cool.
A little break after I feel like we've been running hot on some of this stuff.
Well, speaking of little breaks, Eric, just to make sure people aren't constantly refreshing their podcast feed on Thursdays coming up here.
Yeah, so we'll be off for maybe 3 weeks. Now, I am scheduled to do 2 interviews. Hopefully they will both happen. And then we'll have, I think we'll probably be off. And then we'll have an interview. Mm-hmm. And then we'll be off. And then Dan and I will come back and do the last 6 shows. And then we'll be done with the return.
I can't believe we're heading into the last 6. I mean, I know we have the final dossier at the end, but everybody, if you are jonesing for us and you miss us in your feed and you haven't already joined the Black Lodge, you can get some of the content that's over there to tide you over. We got some Pink Room stuff if you haven't already seen it. So, plenty of content to tide you over until we're back in your ears when we start with part 13, lucky number 13.
Yeah, lucky number 13. So on that note, I will leave you with the words of Justin Theroux. Dan will hear me. You will hear Justin Theroux.
This was a little poem that I believe that he wrote, that he would say, read it and then get off the stage. So this is from David. We are like the spider. We weave our life and move along it. We are the dreamer who dreams and then lives in the dream. I'm going to get off the stage.
Thank you for listening to the Meanwhile podcast with Dan Johnson and Eric Grissom. If you would like to support the Meanwhile podcast, join our Patreon. It's available right now. You can sign up, and for just a few dollars a month, you can keep this show going, and you can get access to some exclusive podcasts and some secret stuff that you're not going to find anywhere else. So if you'd like to join, go to ericgrissom.com/meanwhile and look for the Patreon link. If you like our show, please consider rating and reviewing the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're hearing this now. Meanwhile is produced by Eric Grissom and Where's My Robots? The Meanwhile theme song is written and performed by Paul Finn and Evening Pines. If you want to let us know what you thought of the show, you can reach Dan at danjnj.com, both on the web and on Blue Sky. Eric can be found on Blue Sky at ericgrissom.com, which is also his website. It's also me, right? That's weird. We'll see you again, and in the meantime, be good.
Listen to the sounds.
Meanwhile.